that brings us to this week's edition of the Pac-12 Prime Picks, which is an entity I created since hosting this show. Did not get where I wanted to last year, just a hair under 50%, about 48%, and had gotten myself back to a nice spot going into last week at 17-17, ready for a strong finish. Yeah, it didn't happen. That strong finish got off to a rough start. There's still time. Now, if you're someone who wants to come in here and fade the picks, I can't say I blame you. Just don't come crying to me when I have a bounce back this week. I like these picks. Let's start with the game of the week in college football. It's where College Game Day will be in Salt Lake City, Oregon. Favored by 6.5, according to our friends over at FanDuel Official Sportsbook of Locked On. Favored by 6.5 in Salt Lake City. Nobody has won at Rice-Eccles Stadium with fans in the stands since 2018. Before the year, I thought this was one of the games in the regular season Oregon would lose. I felt that way, predicated on the belief Cam Rising would be playing by now. Well, he's not playing whatsoever. And I think this is a great matchup of a couple of good defenses, especially Utah's, a great offense in Oregon, and a savvy head football coach in Kyle Whittingham. I lean Oregon here, as long as it's under a touchdown. If it were over, I would probably go with the Utes. At Oregon minus 6.5, I'll take the Ducks. I'll take the Ducks to win the game 31-20. And yes, if the line were at 7.5, I would feel like Utah would have a chance to cover there. Look, I think this is a close game. I think this is a hard-fought affair. Here's where I land on why I'm leaning with my Ducks. Oregon's offense versus Utah's offense. I trust Oregon's immensely more. Now, you might say, well, Utah's got a great defense. Oregon's isn't exactly made up of a bunch of scrubs. They're vastly improved from last year. They held Utah's offense with Cam Rising to just 10 points, and the defense scored a touchdown at Autzen Stadium to get him to 17. I think that the way Cam Rising played then is the way Oregon's defense is capable of making Bryson Barnes play now. You have a veteran quarterback who proved against Washington and Texas Tech he's not going to be rattled on the road. So that home environment is still effective for Utah. Don't get me wrong. It's not as effective as it might have been against, say, Dante Moore, for instance, or Graham Mertz. Bo Nix has made 54 starts in his college career. If it comes down to, hey, both teams are really good against the run and it's quarterback against quarterback, which I think is kind of likely that neither team is going to run the football great, and it'll come down to, hey, which quarterback can better lead their offense. I lean towards Bo Nix over Bryson Barnes there. So I'll take the Ducks 31 with a late field goal to push that to 2 possessions. 31-20. I think it is close throughout. Will not be shocked at all if Utah loses the game in any way, shape, or form. But I do like the Ducks there. Next one, Cal plus 10.5 against USC at home off a bye. Now, Caleb Williams is still the best player on the football field. I know he's had 2 bad games in a row relative to the ridiculously high standard that he has set for himself. He did have the go-ahead rushing touchdown, but everyone's, he was set up by a punt return. I think he was going to be able to make a play no matter what. He's quite the playmaker. Eventually, I feel like Lincoln Riley is going to reel him back in and get him playing the way he's capable of. 10.5 points, though, off a bye at home. Give me the Bears to cover that number. Final score prediction, USC 31, Cal 24. Here's why I feel good about the Bears and why I can see a world, by the way, in which Cal emerges victorious against the Trojans. I don't know what we're going to see from Cal at the quarterback position. I don't love that. I also know that if Bryson Barnes can have success on the road, anybody on Cal's offensive side of the quarterback position can have success at home, whether that's Fernando Mendoza, whether that's Ben Finley, whether that's Sam Jackson. It'll probably be a smattering of all 3. Mendoza has been pretty good the last couple of games, but you know what Cal does really well? Cal runs the football. And when Cal's offense is at its best, they're running the football. They run for 195 yards a game. Did you know that the 3rd best rushing team in the Pac-12 this season is the 3-4 California Golden Bears? Yeah, that's right. Those California Golden Bears. USC, meanwhile, last in rushing defense in the Pac-12, 164 yards a game. I think Cal is able to hang around on the back of their ground game. I suspect their quarterback, whoever it is, will turn the ball over one or two too many times to win the football game. And Caleb Williams will have a good performance against a Cal defense that, has had its ups and downs this season, shall we say. DJ Uiagalelei had success on this field in a big way and put up a 50-burger. I think Caleb Williams and USC can do that. I don't think they're going to, just to be clear, because I think Cal's going to run the football, take the air out of the clock a little bit. Cal to cover the 10.5 points. I like having the hook on my side there. USC 31, Cal 24. Jaden Ott and Isaiah Afonso could be in for a really, really big game. Still more to get to. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know what to do with the other 4 games because I have to pick 3 of them and I got to leave one out. I'm leaving out Washington State. I will tell you why I'm doing just that. Next pick in what I have described all week and continue to believe is the sneaky best game of the week. Oregon-Utah is going to be fantastic. I think there's a greater potential for a team to win by 2 scores in either direction, frankly, in that game than Arizona hosting Oregon State. Wildcats are getting 3.5 points at home, and I like it. And I like Arizona to win the game outright. This was one of my preseason upset predictions. There are upsets in conference play every single year. And if you'd predicted a lot of them ahead of time, you would have gotten pushback. I don't think I even get a lot of pushback. Carter Baines of BeaverBlitz.com on the show earlier this week said he thinks Arizona is winning this game. Both teams are coming off a bye. I don't trust Oregon State's defense away from Reser Stadium. Why? Because I keep seeing it away from Reser Stadium against Power 5 teams not play well. Maybe they're able to get right. Maybe with a bye week, they figure things out. If you tell me they hold Arizona under 23 points, then I think that Oregon State wins the football game because Arizona's defense, while improved, is still going up against a capable offense with underrated wide receivers in Silas Bolden and Anthony Gould. And DJ Uiagalelei has been playing much better after a 3-ish game stretch where he really struggled. Arizona, though, at home, this is a go-either-way game. This is a coin flip kind of game. Obviously, I won't be shocked if Oregon State wins. I think this is going to be Arizona with another marquee win in the Jedd Fisch era. Wildcats 31, Beavs 30, the final in Tucson, in what should be an outstanding college football game. Next one, UCLA, favored by 17.5 against Colorado at home. UCLA last week beat Stanford 42-7. Ethan Garbers was the starting quarterback. I don't think it matters who starts or plays at quarterback in this game. Here's the problem. You know who can't stop the run in this conference? USC and Colorado. Stanford's not great either, but USC and Colorado. You know what UCLA does? They boast one of the 10 best rushing offenses in the conference. They only trail Oregon in rushing yards per game. This is a physical defense with a great front four against a horrendous Colorado offensive line. I don't love the extra half-point hook. I just think UCLA is playing at a high level right now. Coming off that win against Stanford, I think they're feeling good. And they're playing a team that we know is on Stanford's level. That's what Colorado is. Lost to them at home. They're both bottom 3 teams in the league. That's where they're at. This is a bad matchup for Colorado. If you're going to beat a team that's better than you, this is not the one to do it. Because UCLA's front four, I think, is going to dominate in this game. Sean Lewis, the offensive coordinator for the Buffs, has to be at his absolute best if Colorado is going to have a chance. But give me UCLA at home, covering the 17.5, big number to swallow. I'll swallow it. UCLA 45, Colorado 20. Washington and Washington State are the 2 games that I have left to choose from for this week's edition of the Pac-12 Prime Picks. Some Husky fans not thrilled with me continuing to pick the dogs. Guess what? I'm doing it again. I'm doing it. I'm sorry if it goes the other way. I'm just telling you what I think. And I think Stanford is not a great football team. And they were reminded of that last week. They had their big win against Colorado. Awesome. Great for Stanford. Sign of good things to come. All that positivity, no doubt, warranted for the Cardinal here. Washington is not favored by 26.5 points for the second straight week. I'm going to pick them to cover for the second straight week. Because eventually, I do think they are going to cover one of these big numbers and play the way they did early in the season. I think they recapture that momentum here against a pretty weak Stanford team. Huskies 49, Cardinal 21. Those are the Pac-12 Prime Picks here for Week 8.